Hey everybody! I hope everyone is doing well today. Thanks for joining me here on the Trinity Stamps Facebook page. There is a brand new release today, and I'm excited to be using some of the products from that new release, and I'm going to use one of my favorite stamp sets from the last release too to make this really fun shaker gift tag. So there's those flat confetti embellishments shaking around inside this gift tag, and then on the back you can write your to and from, whatever you want to do on this little gift tag, attach it to one of your holiday packages. It's a super cute and really quick tag to make. You're going to see how quickly this tag comes together, and with some modifications, it's definitely something you can mass produce. You don't have to make this a shaker tag. You can just kind of layer this together and make this even faster to create. So let's go ahead and look at some of the products that we're going to be using today. I'm using the Christmas tree cutout die. This is new, and this die is really fun because, like the name says, it's a cutout die. So there is not a straight cut edge on the side here. Instead, you inlay this almost into your background. So it's going to cut out these little windows instead of cutting a straight tree, which is really fun. You can make all kinds of little peek through designs on your cards, or like we're going to do on tags today. I'm going to be using this new Slimline Tags die set. This is huge. This largest die, I didn't use the largest one, but let's see how big this one is because it's a big one. The biggest die is about 8 3/4 tall by 3.5 inches wide. This would be great to use if you're giving like a bottle of wine or something as a gift. This would be a big gift tag, or if you're giving a really big Christmas gift, that would be a really great size tag to use. And then there are these smaller layering ones too. So we're going to use the second largest one, but there's ones all the way down to this is kind of like a standard size tag, I think. And then there's even these little circle tags and little coordinating, I call them sentiment tags. I'm not sure what the true name of it is, but I like to call them sentiment tags. Then I'll also be using the new Holiday Tag Helper stamp set. So just like the name suggests, this stamp set is going to help you out with all of your tags. So there's a Merry Christmas sentiment, there's a Happy New Year sentiment, and then there's just general runs because, you use tags for everything, for birthdays, for other occasions. So there's a gift for you, there's a couple different to and froms, and then there's handmade with love. I'm going to be using one of my favorite stamp sets from the last release. This one is Winter Winds. And anybody who knows me knows that I love snowflakes. I definitely love snow. I am a winter baby, and snow is one of my favorite things. I just think it's really pretty. And I love this Winter Wind stamp set. So we're going to use that. Let's go ahead and just dive right in. I'll set this one over to the side there. I'm going to start by die cutting my tag as well as the cutout tree. So I'm using the second largest tag in the Slimline Tags die set because that is the one that's going to fit my tree on the inside. The tree will of course fit on that largest one, but I wanted to create a tag that was more size appropriate for a gift that I would be giving. I'm just going to, my camera is a little off and it kind of bothers me. I think that's better. So we're gonna go with that. That's a little better to me. Sorry for moving that around, but that was bothering me just a bit. I have a piece of white cardstock. You can cut this from any color cardstock you want, any kind of specialty cardstock. If you did this with like a gold, I think that would be really pretty. So I'm going to just lay these in here. And this is going to be a shaker tag. So I want to make sure that there's going to be enough room to add thin pieces of foam tape all the way around my tree. So especially at the top here, between the top of the star and the tag hole, and at the bottom and on the sides here, that's where I'm really going to be paying attention. I'm going to grab some of my tape here and just tape this tag down so that that doesn't move as I'm trying to position my tree. Tape that right there, and then I'll tape the tree in place too. I'm going to line this up get it even-ish so that I have a nice even border. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's handmade, so it's not going to be perfect, but I try to get it as close to that as I can. And as always, or if you're new here, if you're an experienced live viewer, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. I do have this pulled up on my computer, so if you have questions about the release or my techniques or anything, feel free to ask. I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine with those two dies all together. And then when I pop this out, going to pull this off. I like to save these pieces because this would be, you know, I love a great 2-for-1 technique. This is a great 2-for-1 technique because you could take a solid piece of cardstock and just layer these trees up on there, the pieces of the tree. So I am going to tuck these in the back of my Christmas tree cutout pocket. And I have 2 in there because I made my sample. So now I'll have enough to make 2 additional tags, and they won't be shaker cards, but that's okay. So there's my product, my finished tag, and it has that cute little cutout tree in the center. I just love it. So here's one of the ways that you could make this more mass producible. You could, instead of going on to our next steps and creating a shaker card, you could just layer this on top of a piece of cardstock and you'd have a really nice shaker, or a really nice tag, especially if you layered this up onto some of the pretty Trinity Stamps pattern paper or something like that. I'm just cleaning up all of my excess pieces. Let's get this out of the way. Now I'm going to grab my stamp platform. Maybe. I know it's here somewhere. Found it. It was hiding. And I'm going to bring in that Winter Winds stamp set. And I'm just using this large snowflake breeze piece. That's what I like to call it. And I'm going to turn this sideways. And it totally doesn't matter how you do this. I just wanted to cover my tag. So I'm going to end up putting this in the middle of my MISTI and taking a deep breath and hoping that nothing shifts. You could use one of those sticky grid mats if you have one, and I do have one. I just don't want to dig it out. I'll pick that up. And I'm going to use salvaged patina ink today. My sample tag is pink. I love pink snowflakes. I think that they are super pretty, and it's something that I like to do in the winter. I make at least one pink Christmas card, and so I went with pink for my sample, but I'm going to do kind of an aqua color scheme for this tag in the video, and that way you'll be able to see this same project in 2 different color schemes. So I'm going with salvaged patina Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to ink this up. And then I have my Trinity Stamps pressure pal, so I'm just going to press that down. And things moved, so good thing I got a good impression on the first time. I'm going to just quickly wipe that ink off. I'm just using a microfiber towel. And then I'm just going to peel that stamp off. And I'm just going to be rotating and moving the stamp around and filling up this whole tag background with some pretty snowflakes. I might have to shift that a bit further down, just a smidge, so that stamp fits in my MISTI. I'm going to pick that up again. And I like that you can turn this stamp left, right, up, down, turn it whichever way you want, and you're going to get a lot of different looks, so that kind of snowy breeze effect becomes even more pretty. There we go, that looks good. I'll wipe that ink off. And I probably have to do it twice more. So I'm going to shift that stamp again, reposition. I'll shift my tag. Maybe I want to fill this up as much as possible. Get as many of those pretty snowflakes on there. So we're going to go there. And then I'll just have a tiny little corner left to fill. And this is another thing, if you have a larger background stamp, this step would go a lot faster. Or if you wanted to use pattern paper on the front, it's another way to easily mass produce this portion of the card. I just really love this stamp set though. I have just a tiny little section up in this corner that I want to ink. And my MISTI is kind of in the crevices of my MISTI here. So I might have to give that just a little bit of extra pressure, but that's okay. I'm going to use my Pressure Pal. I got to re-ink just that one snowflake there. There we go. This will do it. Perfect. So there is my whole shaker tag front. I love these blue snowflakes. I really love the pink snowflakes. I didn't realize I would love these aqua or pool colored snowflakes that much. I'm going to go ahead and just clean this off very quickly. Well, I'm going to just use some water because I've lost my stamp cleaner ink pad. So I'll just use some water for now, and then I'll go back afterwards and really clean that. I'm kind of weird about making sure that I clean things and put things away right away. Otherwise, I will forget where they are. If I leave this stamp in my MISTI, it'll be there until I go to make something else. And then I'll say, oh, that's where that is. All right, let's turn this into a shaker tag. So I have some acetate, and you can use any acetate you have. Any kind of packaging or anything will work, just something that is clear. I'm going to add some strong liquid adhesive going around my outline, my tree, my cutout tree, making sure that I go in between on these little strips because I don't want that acetate to shift. I'm going to add some extra on the sides here too. And you can use double-sided adhesive, use whatever you like to use. Usually I go with double-sided adhesive, but I thought that the liquid adhesive would be a little bit faster for the sake of the live. I know it gets kind of tedious watching people adhere things. I'm going to press this on really well to make sure that that has a good adhesion. And then I'm going to grab my scissors. I have some water on my desk, and for a minute I almost cried because I thought for sure the front of my tag was going to be ruined. I'm just going to trim off the rest of this acetate. And I'm not going to throw this acetate away because you can always use little pieces of acetate in your cards if you're doing like little pop-up cards or something. So I just keep my little pieces for whenever I need a strip of acetate. That'll be a good leftover piece. All right, that should be pretty well adhered. Now we need to create the shaker well, is what I call it. So for those of you who have seen a shaker card or have made a shaker card, this is going to be the same exact thing. But for those of you who haven't, I'm going to take some strips of foam tape. Now you can use any foam tape that you have, but I'm going to be using foam strips for this because there are some little areas like on the sides here and then up here. You want to be able to completely enclose your shaker area. So I'm just cutting strips off to the length that I need, but I am making sure that they are going to butt up against each other. You don't want any of the pretty sequins to fall out of your shaker when your recipient shakes the tag, or even when you're like mailing your card or something. So I'm cutting down strips, and you can remove the backer and kind of bend your pieces around, but I'll show you in a minute why I don't like to do that. This piece here is good and long, so we'll go all the way down here. And again, making sure that all of the edges of my foam tape are touching, creating, I call it a well. I heard somebody the other day, I was watching a YouTube video and they called it a shaker jail. And that kind of made me laugh, a shaker jail. So we're gonna go all the way around this Christmas tree. And I'm keeping my foam tape tight to the shape of the Christmas tree. You can go all the way around, but then your sequins might get lost. I wanted to make sure that my sequins are trapped right where I want them to be visible. Now, however, though, I do need to go through and add some what I call supportive tape. So I'm going to use the same foam tape, and I'll just go around and add some support beams so that my shaker tag doesn't collapse onto itself. And that's good enough there. Now here's why I don't like to remove the tape and kind of bend it around the image. It's one of my pet peeves when I make a shaker card and the sequins get stuck to the tape, because the tape is not only sticky on the top and the bottom, it's slightly tacky on the inside too. And so that tackiness is going to grab onto your sequins or your shaker bits, your glitter, whatever's in there, and it's going to hold on. So I like to take my anti-static powder tool. There's lots on the market. This one is just the one that I happen to use. I like to take that and run it along the inside of my foam tape. And so that powder is going to adhere to the stickiness of the inside of that tape. And it's going to help my sequins and my shaker bits make sure that they move. And I'm just going to test that. It looks like that powder is adhering nicely. It also provides a double feature because my house has a lot of dry heat. So there's a lot of static electricity here. And so when I put the sequins in, sometimes they immediately like to jump around, but using the powder tool helps them kind of stay where they are meant to be. I have some embellishments from Trinity Stamps. These are the rock candy, and these are flat little confetti pieces. Now in my design, I used rock candy, but I also used some strawberries and champagne because I really wanted to play off that pink. I don't happen to have any blue ones in my stash, but if you do, you can feel free to make your own mix. That's one of the things I like to do, is kind of create my own shaker mixes. I'm going to go ahead and just dump some of these in. This is like the hardest part of creating a shaker, is getting the correct mixture, not mixture, the correct amount, I guess you could say, of shaker bits. I always seem to do too much or too little. There is never an in-between. Not for me anyway. There are many in the crafty world who have mastered such a thing. I am not one of those people. I'm going to make sure that because this is a narrow passageway up into the star, I made sure that I put some shaker bits into the star itself. And then I'm going to fill this up. I think that's good. We're going to stop there. Now I'm going to very carefully peel off all of my release tape. And I have a background for my shaker tag ready to go, and I will show you that in just a second. I have cut this same tag from a piece of pool cardstock. I did it with pink for my example because I was going for a pink tag there. I think this is the last one. Okay, so here I use that same die from the Slimline Tags Die set, and I cut it from some pool cardstock so it's going to match the snowflakes on the front. And I'm just going to lay this right on top. I'm going to, excuse me if my head gets in the way, I'm going to try my best to line this up exactly on top. So my head might get in the way because I'm looking straight through. And then once I have that there, I'm going to use my fingers and press all the way around the outside, making sure to really seal up that shaker portion. Because once again, you've put all that work into it, you don't want any of your shaker bits to fall out. And here's the magic. It's so pretty. Oh, I love the blue. I think that's really pretty with the blue. And those rock candy embellishments, these are probably my most used Trinity Stamps embellishment. I love them. I have, I think, 2 or 3 containers of them in my stash because anytime I place an order, I order one because I always use them. So now I just kind of wanted to embellish this a little bit. In the Slimline Tags Die set, there are a couple, I think they're called reinforcers. So there's this one, and then there's this little circle too, and you can stack them on top of each other. But I kind of liked the look of just this little circle here. So I'm going to grab my Trinity Stamps pickup tool, and I'm going to pick that up. And then I have some liquid adhesive. This is a pretty dainty reinforcer, so you do not need a lot of adhesive. I'm just dotting that on. And then I'm just going to drop this right over the top. Perfect. I love that. You can leave it just like this and thread some twine through the top. On my example, I went ahead and I cut one of those, what I call those sentiment tags, and I stamped a sentiment from that holiday gift tag helper stamp set. I did that with this one too. I stamped it and I heat embossed it with white so that it would kind of pop a little bit. And I'm just going to put that right on the front. You can put it on the back if you'd rather, but I thought it would be cute on the front. I used some kind of burlap colored twine here. I don't know if I should do the same or if I should go with some gold. I'll go with the burlap. I have it handy. So here's my twine. I think I did a triple layer on the pink. So let's cut it about there. And then I'm just kind of folding this back on itself, back and forth, back and forth. This is the hardest part of making a tag for me. Thank goodness we don't have to tie a bow today because that could take forever. I'm gonna go through my little tag first, just because that's a smaller hole, and so it's harder to do. I'm gonna gather all that twine together. Just kind of poke it through. Same thing with the hole at the top here. And then I tied this one in a knot up here. I think what I'm going to do for this one, I think I'm going to tie a little bow. We are going to tie a bow. You're going to get to watch me struggle with a bow. So I'm just going to tie that twine around. I thought a little bow would be super duper cute. I'm going to kind of shift this off to the side there, although it'll probably move afterwards anyway. I'll start with a knot. That always makes things easier for me. I'm hoping beyond hope that maybe it'll actually, I think a bow's going to work for me this time. Yay! There we go. Well, that's not too horrible. That's awfully cute. All right, and now I'm gonna, some of these are loop-de-looped. In fact, most of them are loop-de-looped. So I'm gonna give those a trim. Trim some of these down so that I like them to be different lengths. I think that kind of gives it some character, but some of these are just too much. Oh, there we go. And then let's see, do I need to trim that? I might leave those long. I think I'll leave the bow tails long. That's it. Let's hold these up to the camera so you can really see the shaker. So this was my sample using some pinks, but all of the same products that I used in the live today. Here's the one that we just made, and I love watching those sequins move back and forth and all over. I think it's really fun. And this one tag took me about 20 minutes. That's not a super long time, especially if for something handmade. And like I said, there's lots of things along the way that you can do to simplify this design. You don't have to do all the stamping on the front. Go with some pattern paper or even just a plain colored paper and maybe an embossing folder or something would be really pretty, and pop some pattern paper behind it and leave out the shaker bits. and you would be able to really mass produce a bunch of these tags awfully quickly for the holidays. And this is a design that you can replicate for birthdays, for New Year's, Valentine's Day, anytime you're giving a gift. So that's it. If you guys don't have any questions, thank you all for being here. I've been watching your comments come in, and so thank you all for your compliments and for being here with me. I will be back again in 2 weeks, so 2 weeks from today. Does that put us in December? It might put us in December. Hold on, I'm grabbing my calendar. Yeah, December 2nd, I will be back live on the Trinity Stamps Facebook page right here. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you then. Bye, you guys.